So it is Tuesday morning, it's kind of cold, and I am off to Lincoln, and I'm going to do another BTS video for you behind the scenes at the Alive Christmas production this year. I've been asked to help out with the tech this year at the Christmas production, and so I'm heading off now. We're going to start rigging today. The show is going to be later this week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You probably won't see this until after the show's happened, but I am off now to start rigging, and I'm going to show you what's going on behind the scenes. Let's go to Lincoln. So a couple of weeks ago, I had the privilege of being production manager for the Alive Christmas Spectacular for 2021. It was a fantastic show. I loved doing it. It was great to be a part of that team. Over the course of the weekend, we had about 800 people come and attend the show, and each night we had about 40 people on the team pulling everything together. So it was fantastic to be a part of something like that, something on that scale. It was really good fun and a great show to be a part of. So in today's video, I'm going to take you behind the scenes and show you some of what we did in putting that together, how we brought everything together, what we were thinking, what all the processes were in order to pull something off on that scale. The show itself was built around a theme or an idea, and that actually stemmed from originally a Netflix show. I don't actually know what the show was called. I was just sent some screenshots of the show itself and asked whether I could help put something together that looked like this. The idea was that we would have a kind of big band show feel to the event. We didn't actually have a proper big band. We had a brass section, and then we had keyboard, a couple of guitars, bass and drums, and then vocalists all together, all the musicians on the stage. There was about 23 musicians on the stage, something of that sort of order. So it was fairly big, fairly full, a very big sounding band, but it wasn't quite proper big band. But that was the idea that was in the back of our heads, was that sort of idea of a big band, brass section, show going on. And so that was part of the thinking process in the background of our minds. And then the look that we had, as I say, came from this Netflix show, and this was an idea of kind of lighting and stage layout that we'd seen on this Netflix show that we wanted to try and emulate. And so we took the screenshots from the Netflix show and we tried to recreate that as we were building things up. And I'll show you kind of how we did that and what that looks like as we go through. So the first thing that we did was we completely cleared the stage off, and I would really recommend that if you're going to do some kind of big production, this is the place to start. So often one of the first conversations we have when we're putting a big production on is, should we clear the stage off completely, or should we just try and rearrange things as they are? And my recommendation is that you would clear the stage off completely. You can spend so much time chasing cables and trying to work out what's plugged into where and where does this run to, and we've moved something from here to there and now it's not working and we can't work out why it's not working, and you just waste so much time chasing things around, trying to find out what's what and where's where and all those kind of things. If you clear everything out and start completely from scratch, it so often pays dividends in the long run because everything becomes much simpler. You know where everything is, where everything's gone. It just makes life a lot easier to do that. So start off clearing the stage, give yourself a clean sheet and start from scratch. It's the easiest way to build up a big scale production like this. So once we'd cleared the stage, the first things to go in were the structural elements, the bits that were going to kind of hold everything together. So we had stage risers to go in for various band members, a drum riser. We put drums right in the middle. It can make quite a nice visual element in the center of the stage. So we put the drums on a nice big riser and chucked them right in the middle. We also had various items provided by a few different companies. So there was some trussing with some lights, there were some LED panels, and there were some more stage risers for other band members that was all bought in from a few different companies. So we started to assemble some of these elements, putting trussing in with lighting in place and various different band members. And one of the first things that we had to do was to actually get a tape measure out and measure the stage and work out where all the bits were going to fit in, because there was a lot going on stage. As I say, over 20 people on stage, so lots of people to fit on stage, lots of bits of movement. There were hosts coming on and off stage and that kind of thing. So we had to work out how can we get people safely on and off stage without creating any trip hazards, but create enough space to be able to accommodate all the people that we had. So there was lots of things to work out, lots of things to think about. So a tape measure really helped us to work all that out. And we actually put marks on the stage. We taped out various sections and sort of worked out, well, the guitarist could go here and a keyboard player can go there. Tape these squares out on the stage before we start putting things in place permanently. Let's just check what's going to fit in and where is it all going to work. So we did that. We laid out the stage, worked out what was going to go in where. And then we started dropping in the stage risers and the truss and the LED panels and all those other bits and bobs once we knew where the spaces were going to be. So that then gave us our canvas. We started to know where things were going to go. We knew where we could put lighting. We had our truss in place so we could start mounting lights to the truss. And we knew where our LED walls were going to go so we could start laying out things based around those areas. And so this was where we started to look back to our Netflix images and work out what elements could we take from that and how can we apply them into this show. And really there were two things that we took from the Netflix show that we wanted to try and recreate. First of all was this kind of shiny, glittery background that we had. So we started off with some black sheeting. We put black sheeting on the back wall, and then on top of that we then put this plastic shiny glittery stuff that we used that worked really well in the end. So that was the first thing that we took from the show. The second thing was some of the lighting design. And we noticed in the Netflix show that essentially there were kind of two layers of lighting, two rows of lighting. So a lighting existed high level above people's heads, running along the top of the stage set. And then also low level. And in the Netflix show, they had a series of steps that came off the front of the stage. And round each of the steps was a row of orange LED lighting, LED tape, something like that, that came around the front of the steps. And so we wanted to try and recreate those two elements. Now, we didn't have steps coming off the front of our stage, but what we did have was the front edge of our stage. We put a new stage block on the front of the stage that protruded out slightly. And so we used this front edge and we created a row of LED lights around the front of that stage. And then our trussing that we'd put in at the beginning gave us a lighting bar that we could use high level as well. So we put a lot of lights high level and then a row of lights low level around the front of the stage as well. And those were elements that we tried to copy, tried to emulate from a Netflix show. And this was something that I really wanted to highlight to you guys, really, is when you come to putting on some kind of show, something like this, some sort of production, it's well worth having in your head some kind of ideas, things that you like, things that you've seen, whether it's a Netflix show or an image or something on Instagram that somebody else did. There's no problems in copying what other people have done. And if you see something that you like, that you think, oh, that's a really good look, that's a really strong look that we'd like to recreate, there is no problem in trying to copy that and taking ideas from what other people have done. So use that as a basis for just thinking, what could we make this thing look like? What could we make it feel like? How could we try to copy some of those elements that they've created? And what would they look like if we put them into our context? And there is nothing wrong in taking ideas and adapting them and using them and making them work for your situation you're building. So try and start off by thinking about things that you enjoy, things that you like. Try and find some things that you looked at and just went, wow, that looks cool. And if you get that feeling when you look at those images, then you can recreate that same feeling for other people when they come to watch your show or your production. So if you've got some reference material, something that you can look at, something that you can try and recreate, it's a really helpful way of being able to start to build a look and a feel for your own productions. So from there, it was just building more and more onto these themes. We had our blank canvas. We knew that we wanted to get our rows of lights, high level and low level. We knew that we wanted the silver background. And from there, it was just layering things up, adding more and more stuff into this to try and build up just more impact, more of a visual look, experience, wow factor, just to add things into that just create more on top of what we had. So we had our base elements and we were just building from those points. One idea that came to us that wasn't part of the Netflix show or anything else was the idea to use our LED panels to backlight musicians. And this really worked well. We were able to create silhouettes of various musicians around the stage. So we had 2 guitarists at the back, keys on one side and bass on the other side. And these 4 musicians were able to be backlit by LED panels. We knew we were going to have LED panels. We knew we had video content and things that we wanted to be able to display on those. But we weren't quite sure where they were going to fit in the stage and how exactly we were going to use them. So when we came up with the idea of using them to backlight musicians, it really helped to create another visual layer, another visual element as part of the show. And the final thing that I was actually overseeing was video and video cameras. On the night, I was actually vision mixing the event. Now, we didn't broadcast this event. It wasn't going out as a live stream anywhere. Our cameras were purely for IMAG, image magnification, so we had cameras pointing at the various things that were going on stage, and that was displayed up to a big projector screen, as well as a bunch of relay TVs around the building so people could see what was going on. The building itself is actually split into 2 layers. It's got a balcony upstairs and then downstairs area as well. The camera images were only being displayed on these screens though. The LED panels on the wall was only for pre-recorded video content, and that was being triggered from Qlabs. We had Qlabs running a number of our backing tracks, and that was also triggering various video elements that were being sent to the stage for the video walls. And there were times when those Qlab elements were then also being displayed onto the projectors as well, but most of the time it was just camera images onto the projectors and TVs. So from a technical point of view, that was what we had going on. I'm going to just play now a little bit of the footage so you can see how it came out on the night and you can see what it all looked like. So this is a song written by one of my friends, Dave Bell. This is his Christmas song for this year, and this is one of the songs that we performed on the night. So have a listen to this, and here is some of the footage of what we did on the night.
And everybody knows just how the story goes. Everybody feels the highs and all the lows, longing for the mystery of following a star, waiting for an angel to meet us where we are. God knows, God knows. Now more than ever, we need a Savior. Now more than ever, we need a light, someone to lead us out of the darkness. Now more than ever, this Christmas time. Travel to the manger beneath the starry sky. I kneel before my Savior and look into his eyes. Innocence and holiness sent from heaven above, comfort to the loneliest, the messenger of love. So God knows, my God knows. Now more than ever, we need a Savior. Now more than ever, We need a light, someone to lead us out of the darkness. Now more than ever, this Christmas time, yeah, the cry of a baby is breaking the silence, is closing the distance between you and I, yeah. So now more than ever, let this year be over. Please hold us together all through the night. Now more than ever, I need a savior. Now more than ever, this Christmas time.
So there we have it. That was my behind the scenes video looking at the Alive Christmas production from this year, the Christmas Spectacular. As I say, it was a fantastic event and a really good few days together, and I hope there's been some thoughts and ideas there that might just help you if you're putting something together like this, either for this Christmas or for any future events that you might be doing. Have a great Christmas, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. See you soon.